guys, I hope you are all doing well and I miss you all very much. I am actually posting this video to introduce the next set of assignments for social studies. So over the past few weeks, you've been working on assignments that have a little bit to do with our current circumstances. This is a big event that is happening and that will soon be a part of our history. We've actually had many different diseases go throughout our country or certain areas of the world that were a big problem, and now we don't see them as much of an issue. We are living current history. So hopefully this is going to help you to see how you can analyze other events that maybe you haven't experienced. So yes, over the past few weeks, you've been analyzing some parts of what you're experiencing now. So you made some journal entries, you have watched the local news, and you've seen how you can help your community around you. Now going forward, this coming week, you're going to be making your own primary source document. I'm going to be posting a separate video about what a primary source document is in the near future. But for right now, we're just going to talk about the assignment that you are going to be working on. So this assignment, yes, it's going to be a primary source document in the future. But what you're doing right now is you're going to write down and answer these different questions about your current circumstances. So maybe these questions are about what you're doing with your family right now, or maybe it is about your day-to-day life. What are you binge watching on TV, right? So these questions may seem like they are kind of obvious or like we've talked about them quite a bit, but we are moving towards being able to analyze other events. So this week, we are going to analyze our current circumstances and talk about primary source documents. And next week, we will be talking about an event that happened in our history, and we're going to be analyzing the primary source documents from that time in history. So this is just to kind of help you see what we're moving towards. Now, just to recap a few things that you should take from what I just said is this video is going to help you to figure out how to complete the next set of assignments. Another video will be posted about what a primary source document is. So hopefully this video helps. This is going to be a new way that we're going to try and see if this helps clarify some things for you. And we are all learning. We are all figuring this out together, including myself. So I hope you are all doing well. If you have any questions, please let me know. And remember, don't stress. Any problem that you're having with an assignment can be solved, and it might take some time to figure it out, but we will get there. I will talk to you guys soon.
Now on to the actual assignment. This assignment is titled Living Through History, and you'll be working on this assignment from May 4th to May 8th, and it will be due to me through Google Classroom or through email, and it will be due on May 9th. May 9th is a Saturday, but I thought I would give you the full week to work on it so that you can submit your best work. In this particular slide, you're going to see that there's one text box for you to type into, and that's just where you're going to type your name. On the second slide, you're going to see that there are a set of directions, and these directions state 4 or 5 weeks ago, some of us were starting to wonder if this was a big historical moment. I don't think any of us wonder that anymore. What is important is how we choose to react, reflect, and learn from this moment and preserve our experiences for the next generation. So keep in mind, that's a big piece of history, is to be able to look at an event and see all sides, be able to reflect and have your own opinion based on the facts that you're hearing. This is a piece of history that you are experiencing personally. Now for the next paragraph on the directions slide, it says choose 6 slides to fill out. You're going to notice that there's more than 6 slides, but that's just so that you can still have a little bit more choice about what goes into your primary source document that you're creating with this project. Please delete the ones you don't choose. In Google Classroom, you're going to find that there is a file that will show you how to delete files and how to navigate certain parts of Google Slides. Then, for each slide you choose, respond to the prompt with 4 to 5 complete sentences. So remember that a complete sentence, you're starting with a capital letter, you're ending with a period, and that when you read your sentence out loud, it makes sense. So remember that grammar and the fact that your sentences make sense is going to be a part of your grade. This is a project that I want you guys to be proud of. And remember, you can post a picture or video if it applies to the prompt or the question, and be sure to use proper spelling and grammar in your responses. Posting a picture or a video is not mandatory, but I think it will make it more fun for you guys when making it, and it will let you better remember what was happening in your life at this time when you look back on this later. Now for the third slide. The third slide is the beginning of the different slides you can choose from. This slide says, my day. What's a typical day like right now? What are your thoughts on this day-to-day life? And you'll find that there's a text box to the right, and it says insert text here. Feel free to add in some pictures that help to describe your thoughts. Now, you're going to delete the text that I have in the text box. That's just so that you know that there is a text box there. And you're just going to describe what a typical day is like. And remember, you're using complete sentences. So we're not listing, you're using complete sentences. Moving on to the fourth slide. This one is labeled Deep Thoughts. How will this pandemic change the world or your world? How has this pandemic made you think about your life, the world, and the environment? Now, these questions are to try and get you thinking. Now, remember, when you hear any historical event, if you hear anything about one, you need to think about these questions every time. How do you think it affected the life of those people? How do you think it affected the world and the environment at that time? Underneath the title, it says, read the quotation below from a New Yorker article, How Pandemics Change History. Because remember, this is not our first pandemic. The quotation says, epidemics are a category of disease that seem to hold up the mirror to human beings as to who they really are. That is to say, they obviously have everything to do with our relationship to our morality, to death, to our lives. They also reflect our relationship with the environment, the built environment that we create and the natural environment that responds. Now, this is a slide that is going to be mandatory. So make sure that you do this slide. This is one slide that is something that you have to do. All the other slides are optional, but slide 4, that is one that you should fill out. Now on to slide 5. What are you binge watching or listening to? Now, I don't know about you, but I've been watching a lot of different shows and looking into some different songs because we're on our own a little bit and we need to have something that we enjoy. So this is where you can talk about all those things. So what are you binge watching or listening to? Television, YouTube, streaming movie networks, apps. What songs or music or musical groups or genres are you getting you through? And again, on this slide, there's a text box. You'll see that it's on every slide, but just as a reminder, each slide has a text box for you to edit. Slide number 6 is museum artifact. What one COVID-19 artifact would you suggest a historian include in a museum exhibit 100 years from now? Think outside the box and don't include anything that has to do with the medical field, just because that one's a little bit easy since, you can put a mask in or things of that nature. But I want you to think about a time when you've gone to a museum and think about what things you see. What are you seeing based on the historical event that's being displayed in the museum? I want you to think about a few things about what could be an artifact from this time that people may look on in the future. Slide number 7 says describe family interactions with your parents, siblings, grandparents, or extended family. So remember, we're all really close with our families right now, and there are some people where their parents may not be working right now. There may be some people where one of their parents is working or both of their parents are still working. So just talk a little bit about what your life is like right now, and maybe to help you give a little bit more to talk about how life used to be with your family and how it seems now. Are people more stressed out? Are people enjoying the time that they're having with their families? Think about different things like that. For number 8, what is your neighborhood or your block like these days? Are people out walking? Are they talking to each other? Are they looking out for each other? And make sure you can add a picture of something that you've seen on a walk. It could be maybe a rainbow that you've seen passing somebody's house. It could be a different bug that you've seen, a bird, something from when you were outside, anything like that. Just talk about what you are seeing in your neighborhood. Slide number 9 are what questions do you have? I know we all have them. Even I have questions. This is where you're going to write down anything on your mind that you're not sure who to ask? Or what's something that's just sitting with you, which means what's something that's just kind of on your mind that you don't have an answer to quite yet? Slide number 10 says watching or reading the news way more than usual. So this is the slide where you're going to talk about what has jumped out at you. An interesting story, a scary story, or a strange story. Something you thought would happen. This is where you're going to talk about the news and give a little insight as to what you've heard. Slide number 11. How have things changed since last week or even the week before? For this one, think about the mood or tone of things that have changed. For example, at first this was a minor inconvenience or something you had barely heard about or kind of exciting because school was closed. Or something that was funny, but now... So this is where you're going to talk about what you originally thought and now what you're thinking. And a lot has changed from when school closed till now, so feel free to talk about anything between those 2 points. Slide number 12. It says my happy place. Remember, we all need to stay positive during these times. So this is where you're going to talk about your happy place. Everyone needs a place where they can go to in order to be happy, relaxed, or to help escape the reality of the world's current situation. Take a photo of this environment and share it. It can be a place inside or outside your home that you have been able to access during this time, and briefly explain why this place brings you joy. Slide number 13 and the final slide is predicting the future. Winston Churchill once said, "I always avoid predicting beforehand because it is much better to predict after the event has already taken place." Since we're currently not already at the after part of this pandemic, it's hard to make a definitive decision about what happened. So we have to make a prediction. If it's hard to talk about what you think would happen, maybe talk about what you wish or hope for the future.